The Rainbow Goblins by Rico. Once there was a land that lived the fear of 7 goblins. They were called the Rainbow Goblins, and each had his own color, which was also his name: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Yellow, being the craftiest, was their chief. The goblins lived on color. They prowled the valleys and climbed the highest mountains looking for rainbows. And when they found one, they caught it in their lassos, sucked up the colors, and filled their bellies with its bright liquid. Only one place in the land had never known goblin fear: the hidden valley of the rainbow, where the great arches of color were born. There the animals still lived in paradise. But the rainbow goblins had heard tales of this valley, and their mouths watered whenever they thought of the feast that awaited them there. And so they gathered up their lassos, their pails, and set off. With great effort, the goblins made their way to the jagged piles of rock that guarded the entrance. When the climbing became difficult, Yellow roared, "Don't lose heart, comrades! Think of the delicious colors ahead!" That is the beautiful paradise of Rainbow Valley. Jagged rocks guarding the beautiful rainbow. The sun had almost set by the time they reached their goal. The very meadow of the rainbow sprang to life. Immediately beneath the rainbow, they caught a cave. "We'll spend the night here," Yellow Goblin commanded. So they catch this cave and they go hide there. When the moon rose and saw them warming themselves around the fire they had lit, it shouted out in alarm, "The Rainbow Goblins are in the valley!" The trees and bushes took up the cry, and the flowers and grasses and the animals and the waters passed it on. And by midnight, the evil tidings had spread throughout the valley. They know they're coming. They're hiding out in this little cave that they caught. The goblins could hardly contain their excitement. "Soon all the colors of the rainbow will be yours," Yellow gloated. "We'll snatch it in its rises," said Green, "and the colors are still fresh and creamy." The Blue Goblin cackled. "Look at the roots dangling from the walls. They're straining to hear our plans. A lot of good it will do them on their friend of the rainbow." So you see the roots are sneaking in to hear their plans. And the Rainbow Goblins, they're catching wind. Finally, exhausted by their scheming, the goblins fell asleep. Outside, the moon shone on the mirror-like surface of the water, and its magical light reflected into the cave. There's definitely some magic in this valley. There they are hiding around the fire. Magical light. All 7 goblins had a wonderful dream. The same wonderful dream about the paradise of the Rainbow Land, where all you had to do was lie on your back, open your mouth, and the most succulent colors dripped down your throat. The dream went on, and the greedy goblins drank and drank and drank. Just as their bellies were about to burst, they were awakened by a distant clap of thunder. There they are dreaming. All the same dream at the bottom. They're just hiding out there. The goblins sprang to their feet and rushed to the mouth of the cave. "A storm! A storm!" Red shouted. "Look how the wind is driving it toward us," Orange cried. All the goblins danced and pranced in glee, for they knew that after the wildest morning thunderstorm comes the most beautiful, delicious rainbow. Get ready for it. There they are dancing. The storm is about to bring some rainbows. Get ready for it. Yellow was so proud of his plan of the attack, he went over it again, while each goblin tested his lasso. "Red, don't forget you must seize the left flank, and I move on to the right. Goblin, you must shout excitedly." Before the last roll of thunder had faded away, the goblins took up their pails, lassos, and marched in single file out of the cave, ready to attack. The sight that greeted them when they reached the meadow took their breath away. The rising arch of the rainbow, so rich with color and promise, almost blinded them. Trembling with excitement, Yellow finally managed to give the single strike to attack. So there he is signaling. Time to take that rainbow. The goblins swung their lassos around and around and hurled them into the sky. But in the same instant, the rainbow vanished, as if it had been swallowed up by the earth. The goblins were dumbfounded. Nothing like this had ever happened to them before. They stared up at their empty, outstretched lassos, and... well, I don't know what's happening. Suddenly that rainbow disappears. I remember the roots were doing some talking. Maybe they got something to do with it. Which a second later snapped back at them. Indigo wept, blue cursed, yellow stumbled, orange cried out, treachery! Violet trembled in the grass, and red raged. But the more they thrashed about, the more tangled up they become in their own lassos, until they had snarled themselves into a grunting, groaning mass of goblins on the ground. Uh-oh, something's going on here. As they lay there helplessly, a flood of colors poured forth from the flowers of the meadow. The flowers screamed, "The blue goblins! The flowers!" He had suddenly remembered the dangling roots he had made fun of in the cave. Though the roots of the flowers heard the goblins' plans, they had devised a counter-plan to save the rainbow. The moment the attack was launched, the flowers had drained the colors of the rainbow into their petals, and as soon as the goblins became ensnarled in their own lassos, the petals had let loose the deluge. So the goblins drowned in the colors they had come to steal, and no one in the valley wept for them. There they are, drowning in their own colors. Kind of scary stuff. The rainbow itself was reborn more magnificently than ever. Out of gratitude, it lifted up the flowers it had saved and transformed them into glittering dragonflies and butterflies and splendidly plumed birds. So there they are, getting lifted up, and all those flowers became birds and dragonflies. Here they are in all of their magnificence. Wonderful. But since that time, the rainbow had become more cautious. Now, when it arches across the sky, it is careful not to touch the earth anywhere. No matter how you try to sneak up on it, you can never come to a place where it begins or ends. That is the story of the Rainbow Goblin.